District Governor-elect Leslie Ramdani and all distinguished Rotarians. It's my pleasure to present to you the first speaker on the first day of PETS 2022. Some people you have to introduce, but you have those rare persons you need to experience. Angelo Caruso, a lifetime Rotarian who understands the power of the microphone, hears the noise of opportunities and translates it to action, who compassionately shares his knowledge, experience, and skills with clients and Rotarians around the globe. He's worked with Hallmark, Bank of America, Verizon Wireless, Rayovac, Citgo, Nissan, and the United States Navy. Michael also has a highly rated speaker coaching class titled Present Like a Pro, and is also the author of Work Hacks and Dear Angelo, A Father's Life Letters to His Son. Michael enjoys exercise, movies, nonfiction books, and travel. Mac, the Zoom is yours.
Thank you very much. How do you pronounce your name? Is it Diaz?
Yes, correct.
Stay with me for a second. I want to employ you, if I may, to demonstrate a technique that all incoming presidents can use in their year. Will you stay with me for a second?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I know you weren't going anywhere anyway. Leave your mic on for just a second because we're going to have some fun. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, District Governor Leslie, and most of all, thank you, Liz Cox, for inviting me to speak at PETS today. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you. It is such an interesting time to be alive, certainly an interesting time to be in an organization that reveres qualities like peace, especially with the recent developments of the news today. I am especially grateful to be with incoming presidents because it is such an interesting responsibility to be in charge of a club. And most of you will see it for what it is, which is an opportunity to raise the bar, as Leslie said earlier, and do some really amazing things in your community. I want to show you a little technique before I get started with my program proper. Vias will help me with it. And I call this technique the interview. And I used it quite a bit when I was becoming president of my club, but I used it even more when I became district governor. And I still use it on the speaking circuit when I'm doing good work for Rotary. I find it a very useful communication technique. Again, it's called the interview. I assume you all have pens because you're at PETS to get trained and get good information. Write it down, the interview. And the idea is to ask questions in a 3-to-1 or 5-to-1 ratio that would allow you to get to know the other person. Because you're coming into a position now in the club where you're going to be working more closely with people that maybe you don't know as well as you could. You're also going to be having visitors come to the club, like guest speakers and people from the community. And they all want to meet the president. And sometimes they walk into the room, they don't even know who the president is. So it will be your job, your responsibility to find time to walk up to that person and tap that person on the shoulder and say, thank you so much for coming. I want to introduce myself. My name is so-and-so. I'm president of the club. And I just want to thank you very much for coming. Tell me, what brings you here today? Here come the questions, right? 3-to-1 or 5-to-1 ratio. So the first question, what brings you here today? The second question could be, what do you do during the day? Not everyone works. So I learned not to ask the question, what do you do for work? But I ask, what do you do during the day? And then they often tell me what they do for work or what their vocation is or how they spend the bulk of their time. I might also ask, that's wonderful. What do you do in your free time? So if you ask people what about their family, sometimes that's not a good question. So I say, what do you like to do for fun? And everybody answers that question. And that's an interesting question because their eyebrows go up and their expression changes. And they say, well, for fun, I like to such and such. I like to such and such. And it's such a great little thing to get people to open up. So Vias, what do you do during the day?
Um, I have work. I do work actually.
And what do you do for work, sir, may I ask?
I have my own company in promotional items, and that's what I do.
Excellent. I'd like to know more about your company. Perhaps I can throw some business your way or send you some referrals. Would that be okay with you?
Yeah, perfect. Sure.
That's 2 questions. Tell me, what do you do for fun, sir?
I work for fun also.
You work for fun. How lovely. That's fantastic. Do you have any pets at home?
Yeah, I do. I have 4 dogs.
4 dogs. Which one is your
Yeah.
favorite
What is the question again? Sorry.
dog is your favorite?
Which dog? Well, I have a small one, which is about 3 months now. That one's my favorite.
The puppy probably needs a lot of attention too. 5 quick questions to Vias. I don't even belong to your district, and you learned some things about him just now because of the interview technique. It's a very valuable strategy. I encourage you to leave room for it, everybody. I'm going to paste some links into chat. You know how to access chat, yes? And these are free offerings for you. Most of you will be getting more speeches in the next year than you've given in the last 10 years if you're going to host 50 club meetings, 50 board of directors meetings, other meeting events in the community. And you should join this Present Like a Pro group on Facebook. I host it, and you'll get ongoing speaking tips about how to be engaging, run good meetings. It's all free. I would also suggest you join the Get the Word Out Now group on Facebook. I'm involved with that group as well, and we will show you how to grow your club, raise money for the best service organization in the world, and get attention for Rotary. Also free. And then finally, I have a free ebook on effective leadership. And if you click any of those links, do it now. They will open up in your browser, even if you can't see your browser because you're looking at Zoom. When you shut Zoom down, all of those windows will be open for you and you can take care of business after the session. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much, Vias. Thank you very much. Let's talk quickly about how to become a great president and serve this great organization and also enjoy it, because a lot of people think being president is difficult. Some of you are already stressing about the responsibility of being president. My experience is in a lot of clubs, there's not a lot of people standing in line to be president. That often you have to get tapped on the shoulder like I was, and the person taps you on the shoulder and says something like, "It's your turn." And the very first thing that the person says is, "Why me?" Right? And the second question they say is, "Why now? Out of all of the times to be president, why now?" And I would ask, why not? You've been in Rotary a few years now. Hopefully you understand the organization. You have a heart for service. And Rotary never asks you to do something that you're not able to do. So I'm quite confident that you have what it takes to be a good president. We may need to cover some of the highlights though, and that's my job this evening, is to give you some tips on how to do that. And we'll close when I'm finished with 4 things that your club should do right now. Again, a little list for you. And then finally, a Q&A segment where you'll have a chance to ask some questions and apply some of the things that we're learning already. I always get asked how I came into Rotary. There used to be a program called Group Study Exchange. Give me a thumbs up if you know what Group Study Exchange is. Do you remember? It's not official anymore. We now have a program called VTT. Thank you for the thumbs up, which is the vocational training teams. But back in the day, 4 of us non-Rotarians could go on a trip with a Rotarian. And I had the great pleasure of going to South Africa on this group study exchange team. And I tell you that we met 6 months in advance of the trip. I learned more about Rotary in 6 months than I would have learned in 6 years in Rotary. And you couldn't be a Rotarian to go on group study exchange, but I pledged to myself I would become a member of this great organization when I got home. I did, and I've been a Rotarian now for well over 20 years. It's without question the best decision I've ever made. And I hope you feel that way too. There's something about doing nice things for other people that just makes me feel complete as a person. And I have such rich friendships and such great a body of experience through this organization. I hope that you get to experience many of those for yourself. So I've come to experience Rotary in, you can look at the 7 areas of focus, and I heard Leslie break down the different areas that we're focusing on this year. You can focus on the annual theme. You can focus on our motto, which is service above self. I find it very useful to focus on what's known in some places as the 3-legged bar stool or the 3-legged stool in Rotary. And those 3 legs are membership, foundation or fundraising, and the third is public image or PI. And if you can get your head around and your arms around those 3 things in your year as president, and AGs, you are required, I think, to be an emissary and send messages out to the clubs through Leslie. And as the current zone public image chair for Zone 28 here in Canada and Michigan, I, of course, have been spending a lot of time on image and how to get attention for clubs in the community. So those are the 3 areas I like to focus on when I talk to presidents. Membership, which is how to retain members and attract new ones. Raising money, and sometimes the money goes to the foundation, for the Rotary Foundation, TRF, or it could stay in the community. And then how to get attention for your various events. And that's done through public image. I see some people signing up for the freebies. Thank you very much, everybody. I promise you that you will be very pleasantly surprised with the content that you get. Let's talk about 4 things that your club should do right now in order to get traction in the new year. You're all coming in at a very fascinating time in the world, because this is the first time that I can recall we've ever exited a pandemic. And it's very possible that you will be the president, as you think about your legacy years on, you will be the president that has ushered your club out of COVID. And that is no small thing. We learned technology, and now we're getting back into physical again. It may not be an easy transition. The good news is we will always have technology waiting for us. And now we get back into the physical and meeting in person and having those handshakes and those wonderful hugs that we love so much when we get together with people. So here are the 4 things that I would suggest you do right now with your club to get back into the rhythm of things. Number 1, you need to shore up communication. In the military, they call it shore up comms, C-O-M-M-S. Now, it's an interesting question. I'll be facilitating at the Great Lakes Pets here in a couple of weeks, Liz, and that will be an in-person meeting with over 400 people. And I'm going to ask everybody in the room at my keynote, what is your best message, your best platform for communicating with your club members? I'd like everybody on this call right now to type into chat, what is your best, most efficient communication platform? Choose from the following. In person, like at meetings, email, group text, posting it on the website. It could be newsletter. It could be your Facebook group. I don't know how you best communicate with your team, but I'd like to know what the answer is. I'm seeing answers come into chat now. You can open up your chat window and keep it on the screen and pay attention to me at the same time. In person, WhatsApp, group text. Very good. Yeah, you guys use WhatsApp big time in your part of the world. We don't use it so much here so frequently. In person, WhatsApp, group text, there it is. Okay. So this means that when you use that modality, that you're getting a lot of feedback, you're getting a lot of attention. And when I say a lot of attention, that means 50 to 75% of the people that see your messaging are responding to it. Now, here's the tip. No matter how strong your favorite modality is, I want you to establish a second modality. So if your favorite modality is WhatsApp, I want you to pledge right now, you're going to develop a second modality. Maybe it's email. Maybe you're going to get more people to open your newsletter. Maybe you're going to create a more vibrant Facebook group. But I want you to have two platforms to communicate with your clubs. Please type into chat what the second modality will be. What are you going to go to work on to get people paying attention to you? And while you're doing that, let's check it out. Email, good. WhatsApp, good. In person, good. You're going to be even stronger in person. And by the way, being strong in person means you're going to have to up the attendance at club meetings. And the reason you want to have a second platform is because the best way to market to people is called overlapping messaging. Overlapping repetitive messaging takes place in multiple platforms. So it's the same message going out. And the people that don't get it in WhatsApp will see it in the Facebook group. The people that didn't attend the meeting will see it in the WhatsApp. And this is how you can increase attendance, get more participation, get more donors, get more people to endorse the events that you're doing so that you can attract more new people to the club. Overlapping messaging, okay? So the number one thing we're going to do is shore up comms. Second thing, we're going to get good goals. Get good goals, GGG. Now I say good because a good goal includes a number, 20%, $700, 80 people, right? It's a number, and numbers are not open to interpretation. A lot of presidents come into the position and they start giving speeches that say, okay, my number one goal is we're going to have more fun this year. And that sounds good on the surface, but I don't know how to measure fun. And here's something that's interesting. What's fun for one person isn't necessarily fun for another person. So everyone has a different version of fun. So when you use a number to quantify what you're trying to do, it becomes a very, very efficient way to measure success. Because I promise you, you're going to look at June 30th of 2023 and look back over your shoulder and ask, what did I get done? What did I improve? What will my legacy be as president or AG or even Leslie, district governor? So number one, shore up comms. Number two, get good goals. Good goals include numbers. Number three, I want you to start thinking about providing something they call in Evanston, Rotary headquarters, outward facing programming. The number three thing to write down, outward facing programming. I belong to the Troy Rotary Club in Michigan. And for a while, our program chair, the person who brought in speakers, was a history fan. And he loved history, he was very passionate about it. And so what kind of speakers do you think we started to see more of in the club? More people talking about history. And those people that came to speak about history tended to be older, white males, because he was tapping the speakers bureau at the local university. So think about the ripple effect or the chain reaction of doing this. We started to see a lot of history programs, and I love history myself, but it was more of a homogeneous offering. We started to get more of the same thing all the time, from the same type of speaker all the time. Who do you think came to our club at that period of time? Older, white guys who liked history, because that's who we were marketing to, right? A few months after that program chair left the position, we said, we need more women in this club. We want more diversity. And we just think it'll be more fun to have different types of faces showing up. So we decided to switch the programming, and we instituted a Troy Business Person of the Year Award. The Troy Female Business Person of the Year Award. And we got speakers to come to those events. What kind of speakers do you think we got? Women. What kind of people do you think started coming to those events? More females. And we got an increase in female membership as well. We signed up 4, there's the number, 4 women in the space of 2 months to a club that badly needed to see some fresh faces in the club. So this is not complicated, but you have to kind of stand at the top of the hill when you're president and kind of oversee what's happening. Now, I want to tell you something about being president, and it was true about being district governor as well, Leslie. You can't make everybody happy. You're going to hear from people who are not happy with the initiatives that you are trying to institute. And I heard a fantastic line from a mayor one time. I want to share it with you tonight, because he was doing a state of the city address. Do you have those where you come from, state of the city? And the mayor or the local politician says, here's where we're at, right? Well, he's doing his thing, and then it's a Q&A, and somebody in the audience, somebody from the upset, stood up and said, I don't like that you're doing this. I don't like that you're doing this. And the mayor stood up when it was his turn, and to his credit, he didn't get emotional. And I imagine it's not the first time he answered a question this way, but I want you to listen carefully to what he said. You might want to write it down. It's a fantastic way to explain your position as leader of the club. He said, thank you for your opinion, sir. I'm sorry you're unhappy. I want you to know that my job as mayor is not to make everyone happy. My job is to make decisions that are in the best long-term interest of the city. And he got a round of applause from the audience. The unhappy person sat right down. And it was an interesting way to say, I'm doing my best. And I understand that there are some people that are not going to be happy with some of these things, but we're going to try them to see if we can raise the bar on the areas of interest that we've discussed. So to provide outward-facing program makes the club more appealing in ways that it hasn't been appealing before. And it's super important. Just to review, we're going to shore up communications. We're going to get good goals. Good goals include numbers. We're going to practice outward-facing programming to attract new people into the club. And finally, we're going to focus on leadership succession. This means that we have understudies. In Hollywood, they call them stunt men or stunt women. Somebody who's waiting in the wings to learn these positions. Who's going to be president next year? Who's going to be an assistant governor next year? Who's learning public image? Who's learning how the foundation works? Now, the challenge is in the smaller clubs, because the smaller clubs don't have as much of a team. But we're going to try to get you more members this year. So we're going to get more people into the club, and we're going to get them interested in an area of passion in Rotary, so that we have leadership succession, so that when the next person's time to be president, they already know what's happening. You don't have to tap them on the shoulder, and you don't have to convince them it's in their best interest to be leader of their club. This is what we want for you this year, and I know you can do it. We're going to open up for Q&A in just a second. I see lots of people, and I know somebody's going to help me with Q&A, I think. We see lots of people signing up for the freebies so that you and I are connected afterward. I am your coach. Now and forever, man. I know you've got good help in the district, but I am available to you. Rotary without boundaries, right? I will help you out. I'm pasting the links in again if you missed them the first time. Thank you for all the participation in chat. Liz or somebody.
Yes, yes. Okay. We've got you covered. We got you covered, Michael. Thank you so much for that information. I think you've touched a bit on some key areas that I think that is in fact needed in our district. One particularly that really, I can relate to is succession planning, because I believe that there are clubs where it's uncertain who's going to take over. And sometimes there are times when somebody make a commitment and come close to the time, they step away. So you need to have some kind of succession planning. So I'm glad you mentioned that. I also like the concept of overlapping messaging, because we have clubs where it's, we have great diversity, where we have older members and we have young members and we have persons who are tuned into WhatsApp chat, and others who don't do WhatsApp chat, they do emails, or they just want you to pick up that phone and give them a call. I mean, I think that's always the best option as well. You know what it is for the president to call you. If the president calls you, you'll do anything. And I think that's something that you should all take away. If the president really wants something done, pick up the phone and give that call in persons. But I don't think people realize or recognize how important a club views the president, and the fact that if a president asks something, they will in fact step out. They won't want to disappoint the president after all. All right, so at this point, I'd like to hand over to PP Leah, who will take us through the Q&A. Leah?
Thanks, Liz. Okay, everyone. Don't all put your questions in at once. While we are waiting for you to send in your questions, and I know you must be bursting with questions, I'll take the opportunity and use my privilege as moderator to put in my questions first. Michael, I actually have two of them. The first relates to what you said about overlapping repetitive messaging. You asked a question about which one was your most effective route of communicating. My club usually communicates three ways: email, in person, and WhatsApp. But you said, how can you tell which one is your most effective is based on the one where 50 to 75% of people respond.
Yes.
When you're doing all those three things and you're still not getting the response rate, does that mean that your communication isn't effective, even though they are receiving it, but just not responding? That's my first question.
Well, it depends, I think, Leah, on what you need from them. Like, for example, if you need people to register for an event, you've got to have something called CTR, which is click-through rate. They've got to click that link. That's what you want. You don't want them to say, I'm busy that night, I can't come. You don't want them to say, I'll register later. You don't want them to say, I don't have time for this now. You want them to click that link and register, and that's what you're measuring, CTR. So my point was that when you send it in email and you're not getting the CTR that you want, maybe send it in WhatsApp and see if you can get some people that you didn't get in email, you see? We've gone so far because some of the people in our club are older, they don't understand online registration. Almost everybody's there now where they can finally figure out how to enter a credit card or whatever. But we still sign people up at the meeting because we'll say, aren't you coming to the event? Oh, I just haven't registered yet. Well, come on over here and let me register you right now. Do you have your credit card with you? And they laugh and we laugh, and it's super convenient. And that's how we get them to respond. When I said 50 to 70%, Leah, I was kind of making up a number. I don't know what the success rate is in your various clubs, but we want a lot of people to reply when you message. I'll give you one other quick example. We have a newsletter in our zone that I don't think is read very well. It's not opened and it's not read. And I'm trying to find what's called the open rate, because I don't think anybody's even opening the newsletter. And once you know the open rate, then you can measure, right? You can try to improve on it. But until then, you don't know. I hope that helps.
Yes, it did extremely. Thank you so much, Michael. My second question is in relation to providing outward-facing programming. You spoke extensively about the type of speaker you were getting at your club. So does the outward-facing programming only speak to your club meeting program, or does it encapsulate your projects, the types of projects you're doing, or the types of events you're hosting, whether fundraising, etc.?
I think it's both, actually, because you think about things like a service event where you need a bunch of people to show up to do something. If you had a service event that nobody wanted to participate in, it would be a poor turnout and therefore not a success. So we try to get buy-in from the club before we commit to the service event. think about a social event where you're trying to raise money and maybe recruit people to the club. You could do a wine tasting. You could go to a bowling alley. You could have a picnic, you know, 5 or 6 things. And you want to identify which one is likely to have the most people. And it's the same thing. You're trying to get buy-in from people. I often do a poll on Facebook to find out. I'll put up, because in Facebook, you click on that box that offers the options. I don't know why more people don't do this, because people will tell you what they want. And I say, I'm thinking about doing a little gathering, a little event. Which one seems the best to you? Picnic, bowling, you know, all 4 of them, 5 of them. And I'm often surprised by the answer. And it's totally obvious in the thing, right? And I would have guessed differently. A president who wants to go bowling really badly will make it bowling, and then nobody comes. And they scratch their head and say, nobody likes me. They just don't like bowling.
Okay, thank you for that, Michael. Do we have any more questions? I'm not seeing anything in the chat box. Just a reminder, put your questions in the chat box in all caps so it's easy for us to identify.
I'm also going to type in my email address, everybody, so that you know how to find me if you'd like. And I'm available to you after the session, of course, and so on. I'll also see you in those groups that you sign up for. This is Michael Caruso 6380 at gmail.com. And 6380 is the name of my district, which is Southeastern Michigan, Detroit, and part of Ontario, Canada. So we're an international district. I know some of you have those as well. You are an international district as well, yes?
We're in the Caribbean, yes.
Yes. So
we do have one question, Michael. Any tips to enhance email communication?
Yes. You've got to have better subject lines. The subject line is what gets the email opened. It's when people prioritize, what am I going to open next? So an example, the subject line Friday doesn't convey enough, right? What do you mean? This Friday, last Friday, Good Friday?
Next Friday.
What about Friday, right? But if you said fun Friday or fun on Friday, now everybody sees, oh, this is related to fun. I like fun. I'm going to click it, you see? And then they come inside to see what you have to offer. I would also say this, in email and on web registration pages, one place for people to click. Stop offering 10 or 12 different places for people to click. People who have too many choices decide nothing. So one click, and you might put the link in twice, put it in at the top of the email, then put it down at the bottom again. Same link twice. But these are techniques and tips to get email to work better for you.
Great, thanks so much, Michael. Last call for questions. Any questions? It seems as though, Michael, you've outdone yourself yet again, and you've been so clear and concise that everyone has received your message and has taken it on and just waiting to go and put it into action.
I sense the very same thing, Leah.
Okay, Liz, that's all from me, so I turn it back over to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, PP Leah. Yes, Michael, this is, I listen to your videos a lot. And those of you who sign on to Michael, he sends something every Friday. Not that I'm advertising for Michael, but you really get some useful tips, some very concise, very short, but very useful tips that will help you certainly with delivery in terms of presentation skills and everything else to do with communication. I think he does an awesome job with that. One tip that I would like to share in terms of email, if I want someone to read my email, and I tried it several times and it worked, if I want someone to read my email right away, and if it's something that is urgent, I put time sensitive and then I put the message and I get a response.
Yes.
I get a response. I get a response. Sure.
We have a last question from Namdeo. Since we didn't have that many questions, I just thought we could put it in. Sure. You mentioned we are presidents leading out of COVID. What are possible programs? That's a question for you, Michael.
I think this is the time to have experiential programs. We've had enough talking heads, like you're getting from me tonight. So we need programs that have some sort of sensory involvement, food, local dancers from the school, music, live music, something that gets people out of their chairs and moving a little bit, maybe a service project at lunch, something where people can actually be involved again. I think this is the ticket moving forward. I can tell you I will be at the Houston convention in Texas. Anybody able to go to that? I don't know how travel is for you guys right now. I hope it clears up, but I will be there. Good, good. I see some thumbs. And that's a fantastic place to learn. And I know they're going to have online availability for that as well. The trick is to become a lifelong learner now and to glean these little tips. A lot of people saying in comment, little tips. It's very simple, but very effective. This is what we want to do moving forward, everybody. Listen, I wish all of you the very best in your leadership year. Thank you for serving the greatest service organization in the world. I'll stay on for a couple of minutes here, but I've got an extremely busy night tonight. And I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. Liz, you're delightful and a gift to your district. Thank you so much for all you do. I love all of you. Thanks for all you do. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, just a minute, just hold a minute. I'll hand over to our District Governor-elect, Leslie, who is going to give the vote of thanks and close this part of the session. Sure. So just
well, folks, you heard it from the man himself, present like a pro. Michael, I want to thank you very much. Like Liz, I see you popping up on my phone message every Friday. There's something happening every Friday, so I am linked into you. And I sometimes I do read what is being presented. So tremendous information there. And I want to thank you so very much for joining us this evening, taking time from a busy schedule to join us and to give us those 4 tips, very important tips. We really appreciate it. I think it will make a lot of sense to us as leaders in our own right. And we can get a lot of good takeaways from our presentation. So really, we appreciate it. And thank you very, very much on behalf of the district for speaking to us this evening. Thank you.